This clearly looks like a dam covered with wave-breaking stones, but unexpectedly, when the army of cockroaches passed by, it shed its disguise and revealed its true identity as a toad. It turns out that just moments ago, Zhou was coerced by the lead cockroach to take a cockroach nymph to scout ahead at the dam. They carefully walked through the main passage, spreading out the group and moving forward slowly. The chubby one was so scared he clung to Zhou's hand, unwilling to let go. Zhou, helpless, glanced at the dam, curious. It was strange, not near a river, so why wave-breaking stones? At this moment, the cockroach group leader said, "Boss, they've climbed halfway, no movement, let's go up." The lead cockroach agreed. "All right, we can't really let those larvae get all the good stuff first. Let's just fly over. If there are any enemies, they'll attack the larvae on the ground first." Just like that, the group of large cockroaches flew toward the other side of the dam. Down below, Zhou complained, "Tch, they can fly so well, yet they made us scout ahead. What a bunch of cowards." But just then, there was a sudden movement from the wave-breaking rocks behind Zhou. When he turned around, he saw a huge eyeball, with a horizontal pupil at its center. At that moment, Zhou suddenly realized that all these rocks were actually toads. They were using camouflage to disguise themselves as stones, waiting for prey to walk right into their trap. All the cockroach larvae froze in place, until one of the toads extended its claw-like tongue. Only then did they desperately scramble to escape backward. But the toads were incredibly accurate at catching insects. In no time, 70 to 80% of the entire group of cockroach larvae had been eaten. The system notified, natural enemy encountered, extracting biological data. Mutant toad, amphibian, with well-developed hind leg muscles, capable of jumping up to 20 times its body length. Its tongue shoots toward prey at 4 meters per second, with barbed, sharp teeth at the tip, coated in paralyzing mucus. Its weakness, cannot clearly see stationary prey. After reading this, Zhou instructed all cockroaches not to move. Since toads can't see still things, he told them to lie flat and remain motionless. At the same time, the golden cockroach god suddenly appeared and presented a choice. One option was to point out a safe passage so you could escape unharmed, and the other was to save a cockroach and accept it as your own. This is the path to becoming the king of cockroaches. The first loyal follower, Zhou, looked at the cockroach god gravely thinking, "If I lose my life, how can I become the king of cockroaches?" Just as he was about to choose the first option, he suddenly heard Little Fatty crying. He saw Little Fatty collapsed, clutching a small stone and sobbing, even calling out to Zhou, "Big brother." This scene made Zhou recall his abandonment. In that desperate situation, what he wished for most wasn't to become a cockroach, but to have someone who would turn back and give him a helping hand. Even at the brink of life and death in the apocalypse, the cockroach god began the countdown. When the countdown reached 2, Zhou grabbed Little Fatty without hesitation and flew away. "You damn fatty, you've eaten too much crap. From now on you need to lose weight for me." Little Fatty burst into tears and snot. "Big bro, I love you." Zhou told him to shut up. "Your bad breath is slowing me down." But no matter how desperately they flapped their wings, they still couldn't match the giant toad's powerful inhale. At this critical moment, Zhou threw Little Fatty out with all his might, sacrificing himself to become a tasty meal for the toad. But it was precisely this action that allowed him to pass the cockroach god's test. Your courageous spirit of sacrifice moved the cockroach god. The system will now reopen the activation of the Devour All Things trait for you. Devour All Things triggered. You have acquired the mutant toad's sticky projectile tongue and corrosive mucus traits. In the next instant, the giant toad's head suddenly exploded. Zhou, completely naked, reappeared in human form. Special reward, restoration of human form. He was clearly a cockroach that didn't like eating dung, but after unexpectedly saving his companion, he passed the test and received a special reward, allowing him to regain a human body. It turned out that all of this was a test from the god of cockroaches. "Zhou, you are worthy of being my successor." But Zhou felt no joy at all. "So what you're saying is I have to turn back into a cockroach?" The god of cockroaches laughed. "Cockroaches are ultimate survivors, and ultimate survivors never die. Why be so hung up on appearances?" Zhou admitted he didn't understand. "Boss, can you put it more plainly?" The god of cockroaches angrily shouted, "Even in human form you can possess immortality, you idiot!" Hearing this, Zhou danced with joy. This was great. He wouldn't have to turn into a cockroach anymore. But at the same time, he accidentally squashed something. Zhou's face immediately darkened, thinking to himself, could this crushing sensation be? However, when he moved his foot away, he saw that Little Fatty's body was already shattered. Terrified, he knelt on the ground, thinking, I just regained my human form by saving Little Fatty, and now I've stepped on him and killed him again. Is the system going to turn me back into a cockroach? Calm down, calm down. Success or failure in life all depends on your acting skills. Just as the god of cockroaches was angrily questioning why he had been chosen, Zhou picked up Little Fatty's corpse, looked up and wailed, "Heavens, how am I supposed to go on living? I raised Little Fatty with so much care, and now how am I with black hair, supposed to send off a black-shelled bug? Take me with him too. How am I supposed to live without my brother?" The god of cockroaches was surprised. He hadn't expected their bond to be so deep. He had misjudged. Then he told Zhou to stop crying, saying that Little Fatty wasn't actually dead. To be precise, he would never die. As a spirit guardian, as long as you, the king, remain alive, it can keep coming back to life. All you need to do is kill some mutated monsters, and once its energy is restored, it can be revived again. Hearing this, Zhou grinned. What a case of enemies meeting on a narrow road. Today, I'm going to make you toads remember forever the fear of being dominated by a giant. But just then, a mutated toad jumped up along his arm and slapped Zhou hard across the face. Zhou pressed his palms together and instantly squashed the toad flat. "You little thing, do you think you're Captain Levi and can take down a giant?" But the god of cockroaches warned him, this mutated toad was not to be touched. Upon hearing this, Joey realized that his palm had been burned by the corrosive slime, and he had no choice but to throw the toad away. At the same time, another toad noticed Joey's stride, mistaking it for a mutated caterpillar. It shot out its claw-like tongue, hooking Joey's vital part with pinpoint accuracy at 4 meters per second. Joey was in so much pain, he practically shot up into the air on the spot. He quickly pulled off that claw-like tongue. Fortunately, it only broke the skin a little, and wasn't a serious injury. Godfather, I can't even beat a mutant toad. The god of cockroaches explained. Everyone else is fighting using their special abilities, but you're not using yours at all. You're just flailing around. Joey was stunned for a moment. Do I have a special ability too? Then, the god of cockroaches brought over a dead toad. The special ability I granted you is called Devour All Things. Eat it, and you'll be able to seize its abilities and gain its antibodies. Devour everything, and you will become a god. With that, the god of cockroaches shoved the toad straight into Joey's mouth, but every cell in Joey's body resisted, and he immediately vomited it out. The god of cockroaches said, if you can't do it, you'll die, because you've already been surrounded by mutant toads. Seeing the army of toads rushing toward him, Joey suddenly came to his senses. What am I being so squeamish about? I used to work myself to the bone and couldn't even get a bite to eat, and now that meat is being delivered right to my mouth, I'm actually turning my nose up at it? Soon after he ate the first toad, the system chimed. Devour everything activated. Biological traits detected. Trait acquired. Corrosive slime. Trait acquired. Frog jump. Trait acquired. Elastic muscles. After gaining these traits, Joey immediately performed a flashy set of gymnastics on the spot, instantly defeating all the toads. Just as he was basking in the joy of being invincible, a strong beam of light suddenly shone directly at him. It came from several military trucks, and inside, a soldier's report could be heard. Captain, we've found a pervert doing unspeakable things to toads with his bare butt. How should we handle this? Joey tried to wave and call out, fellow countrymen, are you here to rescue me? But what he got in response was a barrage of tranquilizer darts from the other side. In the dead of night, someone was doing unspeakable things to a toad, but unexpectedly, while completely naked, he encountered a human truck. He recognized the emblem. It belonged to the Extermination Squad. He had heard people mention it. The Extermination Squad was humanity's most powerful resistance force in the apocalypse. Every member was an elite awakened one. They hunted monsters on the surface and in the abyss, monitored newly emerging abysses in real time, and maintained security in cities. In cities protected by the Extermination Squad, people had already returned to the peaceful lives before the disaster. Running into a patrol from the Extermination Squad here. Didn't that mean? Thinking of this, he shouted excitedly, fellow humans, are you here to save me? But to his surprise, what greeted him was a barrage of tranquilizer darts, and Joey instinctively fell backward. The members of the Extermination Squad thought they had hit their target, so a few of them jumped off the vehicle, ready to capture him. But to their astonishment, in the very next second, Joey eerily raised his palm, and even staggered to his feet, flexing his muscles. You can freely control every muscle in your body, allowing you to nimbly dodge attacks. It turned out that his muscles hadn't been pierced by the needle. Instead, they had simply indented inward, along with the needle. This scene startled the Extermination Squad members who had just gotten out of the vehicle. They all aimed at Joey and assumed combat stances. Joey hurriedly explained, wait, brothers, I'm not a bad guy. Please, let me explain. But the man leading the group ignored him and ordered everyone to take aim and prepare to fire. However, at that moment, the captain in the back called everyone to a halt. It was a young woman sitting on the roof of the vehicle, and she ordered her subordinates to capture the naked man alive. Soon, a group of wild bikers rushed out, quickly surrounding Joey and forming a circle around him. They even threw out lasso ropes, like those used for catching cattle, to bind Joey's limbs and head. Immediately after, the 5 bikers rode off in different directions at the same time, pulling Joey's entire body up and spinning him around in midair. Joey immediately used his special ability, corrosive mucus, secreting a highly corrosive slime on the surface of his skin, similar to that of a mutated toad. This ability actually made their captain pause in surprise and suspicion. Very quickly, all the ropes binding Joey snapped, causing all the motorcycles to lose balance and crash to the ground. The woman bit her finger. Is he an awakened too? Catch him for me, don't let him get away. At this moment, a man lunged forward, trying to grab Joey, but unexpectedly, his hand slipped off the slick mucus covering Joey's body, and that mucus was also highly corrosive. The man immediately used his ability, leaping straight above Joey's head. With a single punch, he smashed the ground a body length behind Joey to pieces. Joey thought he had managed to escape, but unexpectedly, another man in front of him swung a baseball bat. He instinctively dropped to his knees and leaned back to dodge the blow. At the same time, he activated the mutated toad's frog jump ability, using its incredible jumping power to put a great distance between himself and the 2 men chasing him. Just as he thought he had successfully escaped, something suddenly yanked at his feet, causing Joey to fall headlong to the ground. He saw that his ankle was entangled by something like a silk thread, and the one holding the other end was the captain of this team. What's wrong? Did you really think you could get away?